everyone. This is Elliott Serrano and Jose Melendez coming to you from Dreamland Comics in Schaumburg, Illinois. Thank you for joining us here on CCW TV, the Comic Culture Warrior video channel. I have to make sure that whenever I do a segment that I am clear about the introduction. Who we are, where we are, and so on. Because on several occasions, we've had people comment on this channel saying they don't even refer to us by our names, Elliott and Jose.
No,
it's just like
at the beginning of every fucking episode.
And I say it at the beginning of every episode. Yes, right. I am Elliott Jose, also known as Jose and the Fat Man, or Angry Guy and Dude Who Laughs a Lot. Yeah. You know, so. Just so you know, for you folks who are ready to make a comment about us, we'd appreciate it if you at least remember our names. I would appreciate that. You know?
Well, I just think that most of the people who are doing that, who can't remember, are just fucking stoned out of their mind anyway.
And they're not paying, it's just they're not paying attention. Yeah. And half the times they're bitching and complaining about something that they haven't even gotten the point of the video because they weren't listening. And on top of that, you're also not paying attention to the other comments on the board. I've had this running back and forth with someone way back on an old video where we talked about Kick-Ass versus Avatar. Okay, or no, it was Kick-Ass versus Scott Pilgrim, something like that. I forget what the name of the video. And I was having a back and forth with a commenter who was first talking about how great Kick-Ass was going to be because at that time it had so much buzz, and even though it didn't make so much money that opening weekend, you know, it lost out to How to Train a Dragon, I think.
I think that was the third week, though.
That was like the third week of How to Train a Dragon. Yeah. He kept saying, oh, no. Buzz is going to, you know, people are going to still keep talking about it, and you'll see it's going to become like this huge money-making machine, like all these other movies, blah, 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 blah. And, of course, it fell off the face of the earth. But then I made a joke. I said I was tired of the whole argument over what's a better movie, and I just said that Avatar is a better movie because it made that much more money, because that was the argument that was being made to me, that a movie is good if it makes money. I was being facetious, right? So, someone keeps making this fucking comments on the board talking about, well, are you serious? Are you serious at the money? You know, if you watch the video...
Well, first of all, if you're commenting on a 6-month-old video or a 3-month-old video, the conversation's dead by that point. So...
Well, and I like to respond everywhere that I can when people comment on the video. So, by all means, if you have a point that you want to make, even if it is an older video, I read every comment that's made, no matter how old the videos are. I read every comment, and then I try to respond, you know, again where I can. But if you read all the other comments and all my responses, so that we don't have to revisit these darn arguments over and over again. You know, but anyway.
On a positive note, though, I would like to say thank you for all of the people who commented on our last video, or our last real video. About comic shops.
Comic shops, yeah.
A lot of people, first-time posters, a lot of people sharing their stories about their comic shops, and that was very cool. And I actually read all of those comments. Yeah. I usually don't read all the comments on YouTube, but I did read all of those.
Well, it's funny, too, because that, like I was telling Aaron in our last video, which I consider to be a real video.
I'm kidding.
I know. But
if I'm not in it, it's not a real video. Like the John Layman, that wasn't a real CCW video.
I see. Okay, yeah. Okay. That really wasn't a real video, actually. Yeah. But we did seem to strike a nerve. We struck a nerve with that, and yes, we had a lot of first-time commenters, which was really cool. Just so you folks know, we, again, read every comment made on the boards and every comment made on the blog. So don't feel like you're talking into a vacuum. We are hearing everything. And we also like to encourage talk between members of the CCW Nation. Talk to each other. There's a lot of that. A lot of that actually goes on the blogs. If you come over to the blog, when we comment on videos, a lot of conversations go on there too. We're still trying to figure out a way to put together a workable chat room so that we can do that more frequently, or even a message board, an actual message board where folks can hold conversations on that too. But, you know, again, that's all stuff that's just on the back burner until we know, that we can do it the right way as opposed to doing it a half-assed way. So, yeah. So, to address those who make comments, thank you. But please, pay attention. And get our names right, okay? Again, Elliott Jose. Elliott Jose. There are a couple videos where I do introduce myself as Jose for some reason. Because I guess I want to be Jose. That's what he says. But, yeah.
That was bullshit.
Thank you, Inside Man, for this. We need this. We're gonna turn.
We need more props on this fucking show.
We need more
to
props.
class this thing up a little bit. We need to be like those annoying morning rock jocks.
We need to be a morning radio show. It's Elliott and Jose, Ian J, the comic culture warrior morning zoo.
Yeah.
And thank you, Inside Man, for giving me positive reinforcement for negative behavior, which is essentially I guess, whining and crying that I don't get anything, that Jose gets everything. I got me a Marvel Continuity bumper sticker. Thank you. So,
I got one too, though, so it wasn't just you. Sorry.
Bullshit detected. Take precautions.
Man, that thing's annoying.
All right, let's get the preambles out of the way. Let's jump into...
That was a big fucking preamble. That was like a 10-minute preamble.
Yeah, let's talk about this, because we're really not going to spend that much time on these reviews, I'll be honest with you. Let's talk about two Image books that came out, not recently, but within the past couple weeks.
Well, yeah.
Well, Chew, number 13. I'm actually doing this review because John Layman was harassing me on Facebook
Speaking
the
about
other
somebody
day.
whining all the time.
Yeah, really. When's the review? When's the next review? When's the next review? I mean, it's...
But now that he's an Eisner Award winner, it's just the bitching is going to be nonstop.
Really? He was a diva before. He's even more of a diva now. Issue number 13, which is part 3 of the Just Desserts story arc, where Tony Chu is getting deeper into things with a type of faux chicken that's being created out there. And Mason Savoy returns into the narrative because they've been teasing him being on the fringes of things. So John Layman's decided to bring Mason back in. This story, John Layman plays a lot back with the whole flashback type story device he's been using. The one thing that I really like, and I know John has spoken to me about this, is that he intentionally is changing up how he's doing things. He knows people have gotten comfortable with certain storytelling devices and certain formulas that he's used before, and he's saying we're not going to fall into that. He throws that stuff out, and he's, it's almost like he's starting over again.
There's a lot of dialogue in this issue, too. There's
a hell of a lot of dialogue. But not only is there a lot of dialogue, there's a hell of a lot of action. I think there's about as much action in this particular issue of Chew as I've seen in a while. And it bops all over the timeline as far as what's been going on with Tony Chu and Mason Savoy and some other secondary characters that surround him.
Because I think this issue ends the same way that the last issue ended.
Yes.
But from a different perspective.
So you see, it's kind of a device that, well, let's admit it. It's something that Brian Bendis has done before. Where he would take a story and tell it from all different angles. So in all fairness, that is a story device that can work if you're actually advancing the plot.
And a capable writer.
In this case, John does use it quite capably and does give us a lot more information and moves the story along in an entertaining fashion. It doesn't feel like we're really wheel spinning here.
This is probably, for me, though, I was telling you when you came in, I think this might be my favorite issue so far.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hard to top the Pollo issue, last issue, but I think as an overall issue, just there was so much stuff in here, and not only was there just a lot of development going on, but a lot of action, a lot of jokes thrown in with all the dialogue, and you actually found out a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff happened in this issue. It's a pretty important issue.
And I really liked how, there's this stuff called Poultry Plus, Pulp Plus. It's a canned chicken, but it's supposed to be artificial chicken. And Amelia Mintz has a can of it that she wants to do a review on, and she swears that it's real chicken. And what happens, the most obvious thing is...
Luckily, Tony Chu has his power.
Tony Chu has the power to actually see what it is. So instead of...
It's frickin'.
It's something that was teased in the previous issue, where this... I forgot this character's name.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
the Montero.
The Montero character, who is...
Jack Montero.
He's kind of like a cross between Colonel Sanders and
Sam Elliott.
Yeah, Sam Elliott with a little bit of Jerry Jones thrown in there, the Dallas Cowboys owner, because he wants to be this big, food magnet.
Maybe they can get Sam Elliott for the TV show now.
Yeah, that would be cool. Actually, he would fit really well for the TV show. And you made me lose my train of thought. So this character comes in, and he teased in the last issue that he was going to use frogs to try to solve the riddle of how do you make something that tastes enough like chicken without being artificial. So, so not a huge revelation here, but an interesting one nonetheless. And things roll along. The thing that really intrigues me, though, is that there is this bigger picture of the whole, the bird flu. Mm-hmm. And while the bird flu thing kind of gets pushed into the background from time to time, something big is going down.
Well, and they keep throwing, in the last few issues, they keep throwing these little, posters in the background, saying they lie. So there's obviously some kind of conspiracy going on, and they've been doing a lot of that, or Guillory has been doing a lot of that, peppering throughout. But to talk more about Guillory, the art in this, there's just... You need to look... It gets to the point now you have to look at every panel and look at everything in the panel.
Yes.
Because there's so many jokes everywhere. Mm-hmm.
He throws in tons and tons of Easter eggs. Like, D-Mar does it in the Sunday Funnies. I mean, I know he's getting...
And these frickins are pretty awesome.
I actually feel bad for some of the frickins. You see the frickins that are okay, and then the ones that didn't turn out so okay. And you're like, oh, that's so sad.
So now we need a Pollo PVC figure and or plush, and now we need frickins added to that list for the merchandise.
They need the squeezies, the squeeze toy, a frickin' squeeze toy. And, of course, go to threadless.com and you'll see the new Chew T-shirts that they're going to be coming out with soon.
And this is the number one, but not the New York bestseller list, and those get sold in bookstores. And you know what's awesome in bookstores? Those little tchotchkes that you can put right next to the books in displays. You know how much money you can fucking make off of this, John? Seriously.
Mm-hmm. Really got to get on the stick, man. So stop nagging me for reviews and get on the merchandise. Yeah. Okay, so a great issue. Another book that also came out
this week.
Yeah, it came out this week, and you guys were talking about on the board, Guardians of the Globe,
which is not called Guarding of the Globe.
Is it Guarding the Globe?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They changed the name.
Yeah. It's Robert Kirkman's Pass at a Team book. And he does this big afterword at the end of the book about how he's really been wanting to do this kind of team book for a while. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be the sister book to Invincible. So all those ideas that they couldn't fit into the main Invincible book, you're going to see spilling over into Guarding the Globe.
Yeah, and speaking of telling stories from different vantage points, the very beginning of this, like the first 6 or 7 pages, was actually from the same story from the issue of Invincible before he goes off for the Viltrumite War. Because all this stuff with the Flaxons, this is all stuff that actually happened in Invincible, but again, it's from different points of view.
And Invincible's like on the phone as the whole thing's going on.
Yeah, and this comic actually takes place like right after that, and then Invincible's gone. So this book is showing what's going on Earth while the whole Viltrumite War is going on in Invincible.
So, yeah, I read it, and...
Elliott, I guess, wasn't impressed.
I'll be honest with you, and maybe it's because I'm just really out-teamed. I'm teamed out on team books
that was the thing that I was thinking of when I read it. I'm like, it's another getting the band together.
Right.
And if Marvel hadn't fucking done that with every one of their goddamn books this year, it would have been different.
Maybe. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like this is a poorly done book. I mean, it's got solid artwork, solid characterization, all the little character moments that you expect in a Robert Kirkman book. You see the Brit is kind of being he's
Britt is awesome in this
he's
book.
a leader of the team, and you know, you get a little insight into his home life and stuff like that. So don't get me wrong, it's
him
not like
adjusting to his actual costume,
his new
and
costume,
his new flight boots and gloves, and
so it's not like this is a bad book, but I mean, a big part of it is, yeah, like as Jose said, I've read so many getting the band together books. This was just another one of those. I would have liked to have seen Kirkman like throw out the script to this and say, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to do a story where they're all together, and we're just going to assume that they got together one way or another and move from there. Because after a while, you can only do so many different spins on the putting a team together. So yeah, and that really was the only thing. I will say this, and this is the part I actually really enjoyed. And not because I did a Obama book, but Chris Giarrusso does a strip in the back, a one-page strip of Guarding the Globe, where Barack Obama is a member of the team, and he takes a shot at Sarah Palin and the birthers in here. I got a real laugh out of this, and I'm just a big fan of Giarrusso's stuff, especially his Marvel stuff, the little mini Marvel stuff that he does.
So anyway, despite what he said, if you like Invincible and are reading Invincible, and you want a good companion book, pick this up, because this actually picks up some plot threads from Invincible that was left over before the Viltrumite War, and it's going to be going through this book while he's not on Earth. So if you like Invincible, pick this up, because it was a fun book, and if you have been reading Invincible for a while, you will like that book.
And it really, and we have to stress enough. I mean, Invincible is not a huge selling book. I mean, it really deserves a lot more attention than it does, and than it gets. And the fact that even though it sells, you know, moderate numbers, the fact
like 17,000,
17,000, you know,
18,000, yeah.
And Kirkman is still willing to put out a second book. This isn't a case where you have fucking Marvel putting out 8 Avengers books and all these Wolverine books because they know it sells and they're just trying to capitalize on a winning formula. Mm-hmm. This is Kirkman really saying, I want to do something. I want to tell these stories. We need to provide a venue for it. And you know,
at least he's trying stuff, because Astounding Wolfman actually just ended. That ran 24 issues. That series is done. Brit was another one that he was doing, and he had to end that because the sales weren't there. But at least he's trying stuff,
right?
And he is giving fans of Invincible, you know, something that I think is going to be just as good as Invincible.
And it's not a case of it's not a case of him trying to capitalize on something that millions of people are reading, and he's trying to make more money off it. I mean, it's obviously not the case.
And these are all new characters that he's creating. That him and Otley and all these artists that he works with, they all create these as like all new stuff.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Now, hopefully, we're not going to see like a million Walking Dead books coming out when the AMC series hits. You know,
never know.
So we'll see. Well, I don't know. I wouldn't begrudge Robert that. All right, let's end this segment on those 2 reviews. When we come back, we're going to get into trade paperbacks, which is something that you guys ask us to talk about quite a bit. We hope we see you then.